I've been looking over some of your scripts, and they're pretty good. I think we should start with this one. We began in wheelchair.
Now, don't get me wrong.
You got a bathroom I can use?
I don't have a restroom.
You ain't got no bathroom. Then how do you relieve yourself?
Let me rephrase. I don't have a public for people to use.
Look, man, you just saw something real good down there. Now, I'm not used to
You're not used to what?
looking at my good without paying. So you better make it worthwhile. Cause you gon' pay.
Hey, what?
Pay me!
Bars. I said every verse is dedicated to my day ones. Oof. Who always kept it G and never changed up. The big homies who's the reason why we came up, and they taught us game and ain't let this town change us. Bars.
Outside these corner stores, got work in my trunk. No bricks, just dope hits, get a dope fix. Killing verses, I'm the culprit. Reading Bible verses from the pulpit.
Bars. I say I wake up in the morning, grateful that I made it. Then it's right back on the grind, I gotta feed the babies. Then I'm on my paper, and all the ways to make it. A million ways to skin a cat, I'm stripping that bitch naked. Bars.
So a man thinketh, so is he. I can become anyone that I wanna be. My perception of life, my reality. Anything I put my mind to, I can achieve. I can choose to be bound or be free. I can fly in a friendly sky, I sail the sea. Failure ain't no option, what I believe. Cause real champion will never concede.
Bars.
I fell in love the first time I heard that patois. When I come to one feeling me like a shot. They can't step in the game with young scheme. Cause I'm in the party bringing the fire and on my team. Dime a ver, y mami está bailando a controla. Me dice que le gusta el reggaetón y no soca. Nos solteras o podemos solo ser amigos. Digo, keep por adelante and dance floor. Yo que te sigo, yeah.
Bars.
The film. What's going on, people? This is Crazy D. This is the film review on the road.
Brother! Brother! That's brother Franklin James
From Like It Is Radio.
Hey, brother Franklin James. How you doing?
Queen. Hold on. Silence on the
Kill the
set.
music. Kill the music.
Silence on the set.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know what this is?
Do I know what it is? It's greatness.
No, this is history. This is Queen. This is Queen. Royalty, Academy Award, y'all. Hold up.
Right.
Say what?
Right.
Say what? Academy Award winner.
He got fired up the day.
Academy Award winner. Historian. I'm the historian here. This is history. You come to the original black school in Las Vegas. This is where Negroes was educated because we couldn't go across 15.
Come on.
You are an award winner. Academy Award winner.
That is true.
Quiet on the set. Everybody applause. We y'all crazy? Hold up. Madness. We gonna do things in life, but you here forever. You like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ain't gonna talk about you long after you go.
Obi-Wan Kenobi to be compared, baby.
Listen, for artists who want to be on the show, singing their songs or sending their videos, this is what you need to do. Attention hip-hop artists with videos or songs, artists influenced by hip-hop with videos or songs. Here's the only show pushing your music to be placed in movies, independent and Hollywood. Hosted by Crazy D, it's a global situation. Submit your video links or MP3s of your songs to lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. That's lordlandenterprises@hotmail.com. Attention, submissions for the Film Review Music Review Show. So welcome back to the Film Review Music Review Show. We'd like to thank all of our advertisers who are advertising on the Film Review Music Review Show. So let's get started with some videos.
Hey, I'm from Cleveland where the Browns go, where we blow loud smoke. Grandma in her doorway, 38 in the house coat. I'm next door with the neighbors, playing Space Invaders. Put up on the lack, Uncle fixing the radiator.
Alright,
I will wake up in the morning feeling anxious from the pressure. Grab a 40 out the pack and my pistol from the dresser. Hit the park with my goons. Ain't no stopping the shine. Guzzling booze, cocking them nines and dropping them rhymes.
Life is what you make it, nothing is safe. Every day. A struggle on earth, is that really my identity? My people under attack and it's playing on me mentally. Public enemy, I got some Chuck D with black flavor, fist high. Tempers rise as hot as a fish fry. And ain't no turning back, the enemy is aiming at us. Gun up and they gun on while they shooting us unarmed. And we still march and we stress and we pour Henny. Pray for Eric Gardner, stretch it back to George Denny.
This is another great episode of the film review. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D. And this is the film review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Sunday at 5:30 on Crayzon Dion page on Facebook. Live stream. The film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the film review.
So I know Earl Spence would have been happy if the American fans were all rooting for him. So other countries support their fighters, but the Americans don't support their fighters the way they should. But it's weird.
Yeah, but he was speaking on ethnic pride, right? Take a drink of water. And there's nothing wrong with having ethnic pride. You know, over here in this country, they would call it race pride. I guess there's nothing wrong with having race pride as long as it doesn't extend on. But, so he was speaking on that, and I have to agree that, you know, when I look at it, if it's a fighter and they're coming from another country, I'm going to root for the black fighter. I'm going to root for the American fighter. But if you're going to be you're black and then you automatically go for it. I remember when McGregor was when Floyd was fighting McGregor, and I remember that people were like, oh, McGregor's gonna beat him. These are black people talking to me. I'm like, do you know the boxing game? And do you know the difference between the striking in UFC and the punching power that comes within boxing? Why would you say that McGregor could beat Floyd? You know, and so I question people's boxing knowledge right there. That was one thing I said. I'm going with the black fighter anyway. So we were down on the strip, and the Irish people that flew in, and I think there were a lot of just white folks that, you know, had the flag but weren't necessarily Irish. They were just joining in. It's kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Black Happy Black Day. You know, some people call it St. Patty's Day, but I say Happy Black Day. So I'm always concerned about the youth walking as if there was no concern, like they're open free. Was that your experience as being a 14, 15-year-old, that you felt, okay, you didn't have any knowledge of what had happened in the past and you felt free to be walking around in the park that day instead of saying, maybe we should limit our time in the park and go someplace else? Not like that's unfair, but you weren't thinking. You were pretty much saying, I'm free, I can do what I like. Give the people, the youth, that perspective so they'll know, so they'll click on and say, maybe I should become aware.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to be very honest about that. Even though my mother had been teaching me the stories of her youth and what she went through, she would always say that she was from the Jim Crow South. And me being in New York and being raised in New York, we didn't see that reality. The reality that we saw was that we had officers walking around the streets and in the neighborhoods and things like that, and they knew the names of the people that they were supposed to be there to protect and serve, right? Not the ones who now, when we look on the side of cop cars in New York City and it says courtesy, professionalism, and respect. But if you happen to be living in Staten Island, just like we saw, they got their hands around that man's neck and he's saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. They didn't even give him the first letters of those words. They didn't give him CPR.
So what we gonna call him? We gonna add him in there, mongoloid, human, and pigaloid. You know what I'm saying? So now we got the top. Now he in the top 10. So this is what I'm saying. There, a lot of these phenotypes are just they're ways to try to hide the origins of all non-African people, and really it's only one. Like I don't really like to put people on a genetic totem pole that they not on. This is not about racism or black supremacy or nothing like that. This is about science. So it is a scientific fact that all non-Africans are not full human beings. They're only a maximum of 93% human beings, 7% Neanderthals. It's a scientific fact that Caucasian people share 98% of their DNA with chimps. So a lot of this stuff is not included in the phenotype statistics when you go to look it up. So a lot of that, like you don't really hear me imprint that in people's heads because it's not right and exact. So when I touch on the subject, I'm going to let you know you're human or you're not. You can create whatever words you want to. You can be a mongoloid, you can be a negroid, you can be a caucasoid, you can be any of that. But at the end of the day, all of those stem from the same branch. So when we want to deal with the totem pole, you have human, which is African. And then you have Dravidian. Because if we talk about mongoloid, when we say mongoloid, the first thing that a person's mind go to is a Chinaman.
Isn't it human nature that there's always someone that wants to be at the top? So let's say people barter, boom, boom, boom. Sooner or later, wouldn't it be human nature that someone would say, well, you're just growing food and I've got the textiles over here, so I need a little bit more of this for you to get this. And then someone says, well, I've got the technology over here. I need a little bit more of this to let your light stay on. Or, isn't it just human nature, our human nature? Now, we're not talking about, let's take what we're talking about is the system that we're building. Isn't it our human nature to be that way? Because it all started with us, and the discontent started with us.
Well, I'll say I can't say specifically or with a huge degree of certainty that is the case. I can say that's what we've been taught, right? And it begins with the value system. So the value system teaches us that something has to be greater than something else. But when you look at something, I call it a perfectly broken system, right? Everything doesn't have to be defined in that way because you're not worried about the separate components, because the separate components by themselves almost have no value. So if we're looking at the overall total sum of what needs to happen, and that's basically our community, our family units, things of that nature, how the output of that comes.
Producer does not work with the artist because the artist is great. No, the producer / creator works because the producer / creator is. Because in actuality, translation, most people don't give a care about what anybody or their dreams or what if their dreams come to reality. So the person that is great is the creator and producer who does. And so that's the point. And so that's what we do at LordlandFilms.com. We make sure people are seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated, and we keep it going and moving to leave legacies.
So, we decided to put her in a trunk and ship her to the US of A. I know. Wondering how we could do that. But we got the idea from Henry Box Brown. I read about him in a book. He really was one really smart.
Well, the film review.
I got up to 355 pounds. And I stepped on that scale. I was like, wait a minute. I got off and I got back on. It said 355.1. I got off, I got back on, 355.2. So I didn't want to get back on.
Every step
was going on. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. But I have to do something. And it got real serious when I went to the doctor and he says, I'm just going to ask you a question. Do you want to live?
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Unity, heart.
This is another great episode of the film review. Alright, people. Here we are. We're doing something new. And, you know, we're checking it out live. We're going live right now. You know what I mean? So, we are broadcasting on Facebook, Vimeo, and on Blog Talk Radio. Telephone number is 213-943-3358. That's 213-943-3358 to chime in. You know what I mean? As I work on this green screen here. But we are going live. We are doing our thing. This is the first live episode. We would like to thank first our advertisement partner, TC's Barbecue Crib. That's right, located at 3655 South Durango. You know what I'm saying? You want that great lunch, you want that great dinner, you want that great meal, stop on into TC's Barbecue Crib. They make it happen. And then how you like our new digs here? We got the automatically got the background behind us now. You're listening to us on Blog Talk Radio right now. Again, the telephone number is 213-943-3358 to chime in. We are also on Facebook, again, going live right now. As I check some of the feed on that real quick, we're making sure that we go through the motions and making sure everything is right. And before we go any further, right? But this is the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are your hosts. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. And do we have a great show for you today as I'm working out all the kinks in this. So bear with me for a little bit while we go through and look at different things.
I want to send out my condolences to my cousin Tanya, Eva, our entire family. My cousin Margaret passed away. She was a wonderful person. She lit up the room. Her smile. She was kind, loving, extremely friendly, intelligent. She will be missed.
She will be missed. It seems there's always a time in your life when what I would say people passing starts to happen. It really starts in your 30s, really.
Yeah.
If you come through your 20s without anyone passing, then it comes into your 30s, and then the people begin to start to pass away. And for those who are experiencing that now, because we experienced it in our 30s in the beginning, and now this is the second wave, and it'll be the first wave for people coming through, right? So, we want to say that. Also, we just came back from a homegoing service.
Yeah.
My wife's grandmother passed away.
Yeah.
And we flew back to Cleveland for the homegoing. But there are some of the most funniest things that you will experience while flying, right? There's some funniest things that you will experience while flying. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, have you seen the new show on HBO called Euphoria,
starring Zendaya?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be talking about that.
Executive produced by Drake.
By Drake. Drake not only started out, when he started out on Degrassi, right? An actor, then MC in the United States, and now producing film. You know what I mean? And programming, right? So you finished all those?
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm going to keep going here as we continue to do that. And also, we're going to be discussing the movie The Dead Don't Die, right? So when you call in, we want you to turn your radios down, or not radios, but your listening device. However you are calling in, we want you to turn your device down so that we can hear you clearly, right? So the number again is 213-943-3358. That's 213-943-3358 to talk as we get into these different subjects, as I continue on doing multitasking, making sure that everything sounds good. Sounds like everything sounds good and everything looks pretty good. How do you like the new look?
I like it.
Yeah, the new look is nice and bright, and we're right there. Got the green screen is gone, and we're here, and you know what I'm saying, got to work out a few little kinks, but other than that, looks pretty good, right? Yeah. So the first situation that we're going to talk about, though, people, is the movie entitled The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah, so when we saw this movie, we saw previews of this movie. What movie? Was it Ma, I believe, that showed the previews?
Ma showed it,
Yeah.
And I think Godzilla showed it too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and so when we saw the previews and the cast, the ensemble,
I said, this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like a comedy, actually, slash zombie movie. And
so,
the cast is amazing.
Yeah, Adam Driver. Now, you know Adam Driver from that movie, that Spike Lee movie that garnered Spike Lee an Oscar.
Black KKK.
Black Klansman, that's right. Bill Murray is in it. So whenever we see Bill Murray, we say we're going to see that film because Bill Murray produces some great films. So said we're going to go see that film.
Right. We also remember Adam Driver from, one of the Star Wars films.
That's right. Well, he is the main villain in the Star Wars film, and the way that I forget the guy who's producing Star Wars now, but the way that they have him, the way that they have him now, that character is so weak. Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker was not weak.
Right.
You know, as far as being Darth Vader, he was not openly weak.
Right.
He was weak as a child. He had fear, as you saw the first 1, 2, 3 episodes within the system. Then the 4, 5, 6 were after Darth Vader had become who he was. But so this guy right here is like kind of sick with it and kind of weak with it.
Well, hopefully, as he grows older, he'll.
And then they killed off Luke Skywalker. Now he goes to the spirit realm, and I'm trying to figure out why Obi-Wan he sees Yoda. Does she see Yoda?
I don't even remember
it because it's so weird the way they're doing it. Not just our opinion,
yeah.
but I'm sure there are people out there who are just comic book heads and sci-fi fans. They just love anything, but we grew up on 4, 5, 6.
Right.
And 4, 5, 6, it took a while for them to come out. It would be like 2, 3 years in between, and the anticipation would build. They pop these out once a year.
I want to say hi to Tierra.
Yeah.
I love you.
All right, so Adam Driver.
Yep. Selena Gomez is in the film.
Mm-hmm.
It was surprising to see her.
It's an ensemble cast.
Yeah, Chloe Sevigny, Tilda Swinton, Stephen Buscemi, Iggy Pop, Tom Watts, Danny Glover. Danny Glover was a great surprise.
Danny Glover,
RZA, another great surprise. RZA did a great job in the film. Also Rosie Perez, Caleb Landry Jones, Carol Kane, huge ensemble. Talia Whitaker, Luca Sabe. We know him from Grownish?
Grownish, yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, people, we are broadcasting live right now on video and also Facebook, and we are simulcasting vocally on Blog Talk Radio. So for any of those platforms, come on, check us out. We're there.
Yeah.
you know.
Sturgill Simpson, speaking of him, his song was the theme song throughout the film.
Throughout the film.
So, yeah, and then Larry Fenderson, Sarah Driver, Austin Butler, Esther Bellant, Roselle Collin. The ensemble was amazing.
Yeah, it's a nice ensemble.
You know,
cast.
this film is a good film to kind of lighten the mood. Just, you know, if you want to go out to see something to make you just laugh, you should definitely check it out, because it's a light film and it's funny with just a tad bit of horror, but not too horrifying where, you know, you won't lose any sleep. But definitely it's funny. Cast.
Okay,
this is my first time seeing Danny Glover in a horror film, actually.
This is
This
true.
is really a comedy, so
It's really, but I'm setting up everything so people, before we really break down the film, because this is the first time, again, we are simulcasting. We are on Vimeo. Matter of fact, we are on vimeo.com/showcase/BYCRAZYDEE. That's by Crazy D. So that's vimeo.com/showcase/by Crazy D. We're making sure that all the kinks are out and that you can see it. And so, you know, that's what we're doing. So it'll take a second while we get started. And we also started the watch party on Facebook, because we're on Facebook right now. So you can come in and watch there. And we're also on Blog Talk Radio. Right? And the telephone number for Blog Talk Radio to call in is 213-943-3358. And we're going to ask, what are some of the funniest things that you've seen while traveling? Because we're going to tell you ours, because we traveled across country to go back home to Cleveland. And after we gave our respects and did everything that we had to do, then I got out in the city so we could shoot footage for episodes of Bars and On the Road. So for the film review, and we got some great footage for that, I must tell you. And you will enjoy that.
And we met up with a lot of great people.
A lot of great people, you know, and we did interviews. You've seen that interview already of myself on that particular radio station called voiceitradio.com.
We love you too, Kay and Day.
Yeah. So as we go through here, I'm waiting for this. Leave this site. Maybe I don't want to do that. Yeah, so I'm working out kinks, people. So this first one is going to be working out kinks, and so I'm going to take my time on this because I want this to be right. So just we will be right there doing what we do.
Did anyone see the debates?
Yeah,
this week?
Did they see the debates?
Yeah. And if so, do you have a favorite candidate, a candidate you're supporting? So I'm still waiting to hear one that's, you know, that's good. So I don't have a candidate yet. I am very involved and I watch the debates. And you have to look at people's record also. Look at their past record. Not only what they're saying to you, because your vote is important. Your vote does count, so you want to make sure you invest that vote in a person who has the best interests for you, your family, your community.
We want to shout out to Kimberly Fields and Millie Mills, who checked in with a like and a heart.
Oh, we
want to say
too.
What's going on with you. You know what I mean? As I continue to pass this on here.
Now, I'm used to the other gadget now. How were you able to see that? So maybe I should look over in that direction too, because we don't want to ignore anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we used to the one gadget.
Screen? Yeah, so now it's like totally different.
No, it's totally different here. As we work out the kinks, people. Because we're going to talk about this film, you know. But this is exciting because it's new technology, and you know, Crazy D always brings new technology so that people like his ad partners,
Yes.
like TC's Barbecue Crib, can be seen
Yes.
globally, because we are being seen globally right now, and
Right.
you can check that out and listen to us on the replay on YouTube after all this is over, right? But we got the nice green screen.
Yes.
You know, Crazy D worked on everything. Of course, you know, every graphic that you see up there, Crazy D did.
Right.
The graphics for the T-shirts that are available
Yep.
on LordlandFilms.com, Crazy D did it. Crazy D does
Yep.
the graphics, does the audio, does the streaming.
Yep.
You know, we do it. You know what I mean? So we're here to make it happen, and that's what we do. So,
Speaking of TCs, with the 4th of July is what, Thursday?
That's right.
So
just in
you
time.
don't even have to wait till the 4th of July. You can go get you some nice barbecue chicken and ribs today.
And that's right. And if you
Throughout the
mention,
week.
and when you
4th.
mention the film review
Yeah.
podcast,
Right.
you get a discount on one full meal at TC's Barbecue Crib. So we want to let you know that as I continue to populate here.
So if it is
I am
too hot for you to be outside
barbecuing, you
stop
can go
over
get it
to
already.
TC's. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
And you can pick up your dessert and everything to go along with it.
That's right.
Along
That's
with
right.
your cold lemonade.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went to go see this film.
Yeah.
And it is entitled The Dead Don't Die. Right? So The Dead Don't Die is set in a town called Centerville. It could be Ohio, though. It could be based in Ohio, because there are some characters that come up in this piece that are based out of
Cleveland.
you can tell by the plates.
Yeah.
They say Ohio, and the one character says they look like they could be from Pennsylvania to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other character, who is a deputy sheriff, says, well, if the plates say Ohio,
Right.
most likely they're Cleveland
Right.
hipsters.
Yeah, he kept saying that.
The Cleveland hipsters. I say, okay, well, this is a representation of Cleveland. This was enjoyable, I would say. Okay, so it's based in Centerville. And what's happening is, for most people who understand or have a knowledge of zombie films,
Yeah.
it's some kind of warning or referendum on something nuclear or some kind of acid spill or something like that. In this case, it has to do with fracking.
Yes.
So it's always some kind of environmental warning on why zombies come about. Right?
And the importance of what protecting our planet.
That's pretty much what zombie movies are about, right? So that's the hidden message in the film.
Right.
Other than that, it is just for pure entertainment, because really what happens in it doesn't really make sense. So, okay, so
The characters are interesting. The characters are really interesting.
so you open up, and it opens up in the prison. I mean, in the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office, right?
Right, and there is a person who has deceased in the sheriff's office. Right, she died died in the overnight for some reason. They tell you in the film. We want you to go see the film, so we won't tell you. So she's deceased, and they're calling to find out when the people are going to come get her.
Right.
So this is an elaborate way that the director and writer Jim Jarmusch wrote and directed this piece. So this is an interesting way in which to introduce the characters. Now, we've talked about real time and real time in film.
Right.
And the real time in this picture is real time.
Yeah.
He has managed in this picture to slow down the action to the point that it seems like it's playing in REAL time, right? Even though we're looking at a film on real time, REEL, which is the real, because you can chop up and speed up and slow down depending on how the actor acts, how fast you want the actor to move. As far as delivering the lines, you can tighten it up or slow it down more by leaving the spacing in. So he has successfully, in this picture, slowed the time down to allow you to feel what a sleepy country town would feel like if something like this catastrophic event is getting ready to happen, right? And how the thought processes are maybe a little bit slower in getting across to saying, hey, let's solve this, right?
And in this process, you get to know each character.
Yeah,
he doesn't rush through it at all.
He doesn't rush through it.
Yeah.
You first meet the sheriff, the deputy, the deputy, right. You first meet them, then you meet the people in the diner. You meet interesting characters, right? And then you're introduced to the person who has just bought the funeral home, right? And she's a strange one. She's quite a character, right? So as the movie opens up, they're looking at this and they're saying, how come it hasn't become night yet? Because for some reason the days are longer, and unlike now where the days are shorter, even though it's supposed to be longer, but the days are longer, and shouldn't it be night now?
Throughout the first day they're like, okay, shouldn't it be dark outside?
Right.
It kind of made me think of Alaska, how
that movie. What was that movie with was it Robin Williams where he was the killer, and then Pacino 24 hours, but they were in Alaska, and he had insomnia. That's the name of the film.
Oh, okay.
Right. So he had insomnia, and plus he had to go up there because he wasn't from Alaska originally, right? So not only could he not sleep, but it was light. It was during the summer where it stays light 23 hours. Right. So that was kind of like that. So it was strange for it to be in like possibly an Ohio town. And then you're introduced to secondary characters. That's when Selena Gomez is introduced, right? Yes. And they pull up and they're the hipsters from Ohio, right? So then you're then introduced to the first zombies, right? And the first zombies come from out of the ground, and as soon as I saw who the zombies were, I said, well, there's no way that they're gonna get it, right? So they're getting ready to do some killing, right? And the way the first kills are so shocking, it just comes from out of nowhere.
Let's talk about the first thing the zombies want, what they're looking for. The first thing they go for is what?
They looking for coffee.
Okay.
So
what do people want when they wake up in the morning?
Coffee. So they stay true to certain zombie lore, right? And zombies go after what they were used to doing in life. They go on and do what they did in life. They go on and do it in death, right? So not only are you going through the film and you're like, what's getting ready to happen next? But when the first two kills happen, and then the slowness, the film moves slow, representing the pace of the town, right? Of Centerville, right? And so it's moving slow, and you're like, well, when is this going to start?
But the thing is what makes this film special is because you're being introduced to each character, right? And it's moving slow. It's weird because it's like it's keeping you gripped, but yet there's still like action involved, movement, but it's hard to describe. You definitely have to see it.
You definitely have to see
we talked about the cinematography. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's definitely beautifully shot because the story is told through the cinematography, right?
Dialogue is great.
The dialogue is great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is worth, you know, what it is to go see the film, right?
Yeah.
So, we're trying not to give you too much because we want you to go see this movie.
It's a great independent film.
It's independent.
Well done. Very, very, he did a great job with this multicultural cast.
Yeah, it's a very multicultural cast.
And it's just lighthearted, you know, and you just kick back and laugh and enjoy. Takes you for a ride because it's a zombie film, but it's not predictable because you kind of don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're stunned in most of it.
You're right.
You know, because it's like, you're like, what are you talking, what's going on, right?
What did that zombie just say? Oh, they asked for, what did she say? What did he say?
Okay, let's see. Dwayne Wilson said, peace. What's up, God?
Hey, Trees.
What's going on, Trees? Happy Sunday to you, too.
Yes.
Let's go through as I go through, looking through. Okay, people. So, as the movie goes on, you're introduced to these different characters. So then the Cleveland people come up, and then all of a sudden, it's like, Dad, what? So you have to see the film on that.
Yeah.
But then you're introduced to this samurai sword swinging.
Yeah.
Funeral director / mortician.
Right.
And you could tell that I think they wanted Uma Thurman to play the part.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like Kill Bill after she learned that, you know, after she got trained up, right? She was kind of like that. And what's weird about this film is with the star power that they have in the film.
A lot of star power.
They're playing the movie late, like real late at night. So I thought it was going to be some kind of setup because I remember years ago when we went to go see the Living Dead, the reboot, the remake in the theater. They had zombies come out the back of the theater.
Oh my gosh, and everybody just jumped out of their seats because, like, this was years ago, we did not expect a cast of zombies to come walking in the theater.
Yeah, walking in the theater.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a shocker, right?
Yeah.
So, we're sitting there and we're looking at it, and I'm thinking, okay, this must be they're doing it late because they're gonna have some kind of zombie thing coming.
But I found a theater that also shows it earlier. So that one particular theater showed it only late night, right? Mm-hmm. But another one, it kicked off I think like at 12:35 p.m.
What's going on to Norina David? You know, she gave smiles and emotion and all that. Holiday. DJ Holiday. Okay. So, it's really, again, we're going to say it again so you know, because, you know, we usually run much more smoother, but I'm looking at it and working out all the kinks.
So we're like,
because we got the new system in the back where you can see the green screen is gone, and now we got the layout in the back, and we're simulcasting on Blog Talk Radio, on YouTube, no, not YouTube, but on Facebook and on Vimeo at the same time. You can go right over to vimeo.com/showcase/by-crazy-D, and you know, you can watch us there also. You know what I'm saying? So you can check it out. So you got many different ways to watch it. Then the replay goes on YouTube. So she's a samurai sword wielding,
kicking butt.
Yeah. And it's strange because you think, okay, what's gonna happen? So the one character says, this isn't gonna end well.
Throughout the film.
And so throughout the film, so we're sitting in the theater, so Bill Murray's character finally asked him, why do you keep on saying that? And we're not going to give it away because we want you to go see the film. But I guessed it sitting there.
Yeah, you did.
Right? I said because, and then right after I said it, he said because, and that was the answer. And then there's a whole nother situation with an alien that comes in. But this whole thing is about the warning about fracking.
Yeah.
And my thing about fracking is this: if anybody can answer this question, this is really a rhetorical question, but if the people are fracking to sell the oil or the fossil fuel to other people, if you're fracking and you're killing up
and destroying the earth,
but hold it now, the earth is going to expel those that are causing it harm. Okay, so you can say you're destroying the earth, but really you're destroying the environment around which we need to breathe. Right. So if all this is happening, who are you going to sell it to after you finish going out fracking? Who's going to use it? It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
So like with this greed and destroying the earth as well as with human beings, you know, it's like, what about your family? You know, and I'm talking about the people who are doing this fracking. You know, you're going to kill off your family as well. So it's just crazy. It's greed. Who are, like you said, who are you going to sell to?
Who are you going to sell to? Everybody's going to be dead.
It's crazy.
It makes no sense.
So there's a scene in the film. Well, they do like a really, really, really great job explaining like the fracking and how it's affecting the earth. And so it answers a lot of questions, and it answers the question, why is there daylight for so long? And they did a really good job in this film, because it's definitely letting you know how our earth is important. And this fracking, what it does to the environment, and it shook up the ground, and it shook up the zombies, and it's really worth seeing. It's a lighthearted film.
No, it's a lighthearted film, but it has a message. And then after they give you the little message in it, because most good environmental films, like Godzilla, was a message too, which was also talking about radiation, right? But here's the kicker, because you know I took a geography class. You had to take a geography class.
This film is better than Godzilla.
Yeah, way better. But I'm paralleling them in this way. I took a geography class. You have to take a geography class to be a filmmaker, because if you're out in the desert, there are certain things. I say this all the time, but I'll say it again because we've got the new background. So I say it again. We got the new miking, so we're pounding. You know what I mean? You will be in the desert, and you will be in an ephemeral lake, and if there's a rainstorm, you know what I'm saying, flash flooding, you will drown, and you will be found later with all your equipment, dry bones in the desert. Okay, so in this we learned that how they frack. They send a chemical down with water into the ground and to crack the ground out, right? To extract then the fossil, what was once dry. They call it frack because it's fracked in between. And I guess it turns to some kind of liquid. You know, I really never really understood that. But what are you using it for? But anyway, so when they frack, they're also shaking up the ground. Now, the further you go down into the Earth's core, it's molten lava, and molten lava is radiation, right? This is what makes the Earth live, is the molten lava. So that's how new land forms, like they crash together, and you'll either have a volcano or like on the edge, which is part of on the edge of California, which when you pull out and you go over to Japan and over to Asia, that's part of the Ring of Fire, right? They call it the Ring of Fire because the earthquakes happen along that area, because those are fault lines where the earth crashes together and pushes down to continue to make hot molten lava, which then appears someplace else as a volcano. Right? So if you keep fracking into the earth, it's just as if you're taking a pin and you're sticking yourself in your skin down. Like most people, you know that your reflex is never to cut yourself. So people who cut themselves, you know, that's why people say that they are ill, because when they cut themselves, because most people, your main thing, you can't stick yourself really, because reflexes to stop.
Right.
So if you're going down the earth and you're pushing, it's like taking a pin, a needle, a sewing needle,
right,
and pushing through any part of your body down into it.
Right.
And so at one point or another, then the earth is going to turn around and expel. That's kind of what that M. Night Shyamalan movie was about. The Happening, where the wind would blow and then the people would go crazy
Mark
and kill
Wahlberg,
Kind of like the other movie, the one with Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah, it was the Bird.
The Bird Box.
Bird Box, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that, right? So this is what you're saying, right?
I think, okay, so are those, it says all joined. So
okay, let's see. Yeah, all these people joined. What's going on to Sandra Edens?
And Donna, Kimberly.
Yeah.
Gail. We said Treese, Derwin. Hi.
That's a not.
We love you guys.
When you aware of the current programming going on now, bro? I can't say I am, Quentin, but you can inform us so we can read it over the air there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see what else other people are saying. We're looking at it in new ways now, right? Okay.
That Mark Wahlberg film directed by M. Night Shyamalan, The Happening. I mentioned this to you a few years ago. Like, I never had allergy problems before, but like right now, I mean, it's getting a little better, but it's just like, oh my God, like the allergies is just, you know, the whole environment, everything is just seems to be getting worse and stuff. So I always think about that movie, The Happening, when I'm watching the news and they give like this high, what is it, like pollen count, or they give the allergy warning, and I'm just like, I think about that movie so much. I'm like, oh my God.
Because, you know, there wasn't allergy problems.
They're destroying our environment, and they're making it difficult to breathe.
Right. So that's what's going on with that. So that's what the movie is secretly about. But other than that, if you go to a movie just to be entertained, you know,
it's lighthearted.
It's lighthearted,
funny,
and it's certain things that don't make sense, but it's a zombie movie,
right?
And they stay true to the campiness.
Yes.
And RZA comes in and drops a gem in the middle,
he does.
right, of the piece.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy.
Yeah.
And as usual, if you remember Night of the Living Dead, remember the black guy survived it. The old black and white zombie movie. He went through the whole movie, and he survived the movie. And the sharpshooters from the army came in, and they saw him walking, and they had been eliminating the rest of the zombies or whatever. So they didn't even call out. They didn't even wait. They just shot him, and he had went through the whole thing. He got shot in the head. You know, which does not bode well. And let me say, they did not skimp on doing that picture.
Right.
That's for sure. So I will say that. So yeah. So go see The Dead Don't Die. You will be entertained. If you're from Cleveland, Ohio, you might be perplexed just a little, you know, how they represent people from Cleveland in it. So, but other than that,
they chose a good cast on the.
They chose a great cast to do it
for the people that are from Cleveland, and
you know, in the piece, right? They say that they're from Cleveland. They could have
see
been
if
from
the director.
They could have been in Cincinnati.
I have to see if the director's from.
Yeah, we have to see if he's from Cleveland. But what would you rate the film?
You know what? I would have to give the film a 10 because it was lighthearted, you know, and the characters were interesting because I found myself, like, while watching the film, they would show one group of characters and then I would wait for the next group to come up. Like, I would be like, well, where are the kids? Because there's also children involved who are in a children's home.
Yeah.
So everyone's affected. So
Everyone.
I'm like, so did the kids get away? You know, and then you know, and I'm like, what's going on with Danny Glover?
Right.
So you become invested in the characters. So and it jumps around, you know, kind of like a soap opera. As far as you're introduced to each character, so when you're watching the soap opera, you know that during the day you're going to see such and such, such and such. It's set up that way, and so it's very interesting. It was hilarious. You know, I laughed from beginning to end. I would give it a 10 because it's a lighthearted, so-called horror film, but well done, well written.
So let's break down.
Multicultural cast.
Before I give my rating on it, I want to break down cinematography.
Excellent.
The way that they tell the story.
Yeah.
He's seamless in the way that he tells the story when there's no dialogue going on and it's moving with images. Because remember, film started out silent.
Right.
So the story has to be told in frames within the story, within silence. So what's being told in silence, setting up the picture, setting up what's happening, the story that's being told, the way they open up and show you where you are.
Right.
That it could possibly happen there, and how where the cemetery is placed, where the diner is placed, where the welcome to the city is placed, where the sheriff's department is placed. Beautifully done. I give that a 10. The use of colors to tell the story is definitely a 10. The way that they introduce you to the zombies, classic way of coming out the ground. It reminded me the other person who did it very well was Michael Jackson with the Thriller.
Yeah.
When they were in the theater and watching the zombies and everything come from out the ground. Beautifully done. That's a 10. The reason why, well, first of all, let me say that the theater was not packed. 'Cause like I said, they showed it so late. And then there was one theater that showed it earlier, but for the most part, over the weekend, they were showing it like at 11:30, 10 something, 11:30 at night. So you're like, okay, why is it so late? So the theater, with all the star power, the theater wasn't packed. And I think, I'll say that American audiences want a certain ending, and I think the guy just told the truth. Oh, did we say that Rosie Perez was in it?
Yep.
Rosie Perez. Rosie Perez. Before I give my rating, I have to say that they placed Rosie Perez beautifully in the film, right? Because if you know why she left The View, they said that they didn't like. They didn't say they didn't like her. They said that the reason why they moved on was one of the reasons was she couldn't read the teleprompters, right? So they put her in as a newscaster,
right? Yeah.
And so it's a beautiful way of digging at producers who were, how could I say, insensitive. I'll say that's the word, insensitive. It's a beautiful way of digging at the producers of that by putting her in a position that they said she couldn't do.
She did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job. She did a great job on The View. They just wanted to move on, and they found a way to do it.
Right.
And they wanted to muddy her up on the way out. But anyway, so my rating on this film is a 10. It is very entertaining. It's worth seeing. The Dead Don't Die. I was expecting it to be more just for Bill Murray's name in the film alone.
Right.
And then you're introduced to the rest of the secondary and third level characters in the piece, and it's pretty good.
It was good. We wasn't disappointed at all. Do you remember the one scene in the zombie store? And you said
there's a memorabilia store
right
in the piece where the guy knows everything about zombies and all this, and so there's no mystery to what's happening once they see the first kills, they
Right.
say this must be this.
right.
Go ahead.
And the picture you said, is that the ghoul?
Yeah, the ghoul from Cleveland.
Yeah, he the director Jim Jarmusch. He was influenced from his childhood from Ghilardi, an eccentric Cleveland television show which featured horror films.
Right.
So he incorporated that. So he is from.
See, anyone from Cleveland, like when I look back, I say, is that Ghilardi back there? The ghoul?
Yeah, he was born in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Right. So
yeah, so he was representing Cleveland.
Anybody who remembers, anyone who from Cleveland, they will remember Big Chuck and Little John.
Yeah.
They remember Ghilardi.
Yeah.
They remember Uncle Paulie. These was the shows, kind of find out Captain Kangaroo was a national program.
I always thought he was local.
I thought he was local
Mr.
too.
Jingling.
Mr. Jingles.
Jingles.
Yeah. And then I thought that Romper Room was local, but it was a.
She did not say everyone's name. I never heard her say. I waited for her to say Tracy every week.
So when you see memorabilia in there, so that's when you knew that it was had to be in Ohio, because the plates were saying Ohio.
Yeah.
And so when they said it had to come from Cleveland, so, it was interesting. So now knowing that the director writer comes from Cleveland, it's worth seeing the film even more.
And the thing is, we gave it a great review prior to knowing where he came from.
Prior to knowing where he came
did
from.
an excellent job.
But I have to go back to how he was able to capture real time and slow it down, but yet everything is slowed down, and they're sitting there watching and waiting, but it's entertaining.
You know, it's a good film when the film ends and you're like, you want more,
You want more.
You want more, and you're like, well, what happened to such and such? And he did a great job. And the film could have gone even longer because it was interesting. Dialogue was great. It moved well.
Mm-hmm.
Quite entertaining and just funny. It was just a hilarious film.
Right. So, let's see. Where are we going now? Okay, people. We went back to Cleveland for a homegoing service.
Yes.
All right. We went back and gave respects for my wife's grandmother.
Yes.
Right.
It was a beautiful service.
Beautiful service. Very. It was touching.
Yes.
And how many grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-great-grandchildren?
58? Yeah.
58 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren from her line, right?
Yep.
So
we had family come out from everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while I was there, we were afterwards. We were at the house and we were sitting and talking, and I discovered that the next generation of hip hoppers were abounding in the family. If you haven't seen, years ago, Crazy D was a hip hop producer. Can still get on the boards if you want it, but right now we do film. But so I produced family members, right? Yeah. And the next generation is coming up, so I got to hear their music, and the film review music review show is out.
Right.
It's available on Vimeo.com/showcase/by CrazyD. Also, it's on YouTube, and you can watch everything that we do globally by going to your smart TVs or Roku devices, downloading the Vimeo or YouTube apps, your viewer's choice. Search Lordland Films, all one word, Lordland Films, and then you'll be able to watch what we're doing, right, on YouTube, and see what we're doing. And so watching one of the people's videos, she opens up Gold Rose.
Yes.
right?
Yep.
She opens up the new episode, and I open up with 3 female MCs, right? Uzi Susie is the second, and of course J Jig Cicero.
Right.
I just like that video so much I put it in. So we open up with 3 female MCs before we ride. And let me tell you, episode 3 of the film review music review show, also mixtape on Mixcloud and on SoundCloud. You can listen to it in your cars by connecting your phone to Bluetooth. Let that beat in your cars, or add the auxiliary wire to your phone, to the jack in the phone, and let it beat. You can listen to those there. We're global all over, because cars are all over with Bluetooths, and you can watch, listen to SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and then you can hear all of the. You can see it all on Vimeo, YouTube. You can see it on Facebook. We got it everywhere. You can see it globally by doing what we said. You can do. This one is banging, and it's just in time for the 4th of July.
Yep.
Just in time for the 4th of July. And you will hear banging new music from Las Vegas, from Cleveland, from Florida, from Los Angeles, from all around. And we even have the Universal piece. Right? I don't know what that sound came from. I'm checking everything here. Okay, everything looks good. We're still going here. I don't know what that was. It was just some kind of feedback somehow. Right? Let me see. Let me go over to my blog talk. You are not connected. What happened? Okay, I need to dial back in. Okay, I don't know what happened here. I don't know why the blog talk went off, people. The blog talk just went off. We're gonna continue. Let me see. The phone went out. See, these are the little glitches that you get into. So we're gonna go on ahead and fix that real quick. Right? So anyway, like I said, you can go there and you can watch the situation. Welcome. Okay, here we go. Let me bring this up. 5, 8, 1, 6, 8, 8. These are little glitches that you get into. It's fine. We're just gonna repair on the fly, right?
I'll press 1 to hear important instructions.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. Alright, so we're back on the live show on Blog Talk Radio. Yes. So it interfered with what we were talking about, but listen. This one is banging. You will hear new music. That's what we do. Crazy D has an ear. He started out as a DJ, so many years ago. So breaking records is what we do, what we like to hear. We like to hear the latest new records, and that's what we do.
And it is a lot of great music out there.
Mm-hmm. So you can watch 1, 2, and 3. You can listen to 1, 2, and 3. Also, I got 2 episodes of Black Book Hip Hop. When I programmed that, I spotlighted a lot of people from Las Vegas on that. Yep. And then we have 1 episode up also on Vimeo of Crazy D mixtape brand, right? Where we mix the national and the independent together. So I do different styles. Different styles of telling the story, right? To get people seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated. That's what we do. Bars, that's right. And then, of course, we have the different shows from the film review. We have Bars, which we spotlight MCs from all over. We got the music review show. We just finished talking about that. We have On the Road, which we're going to be editing up. If you haven't been watching On the Road episodes, we've had episodes featuring Monique. We got episode coming up featuring Bruce. We've got episodes featuring DJ Thump. We've got episodes just featuring all kinds of places that we've been. All coming up. We got the Cleveland episode coming up, which features Suave Gotti, which is a legend in Cleveland. Also, Mr. Porter, right? He interviewed us. He interviewed me impromptu, and if you haven't seen that interview is up on my page, all over, showing globally right now. So we're doing that, and so we want to say the film review, and we want to say again, thanks to our advertising partner, TC's Barbecue Crib, 3655 South Durango in Las Vegas, right? On Durango, on South Durango in Las Vegas, Nevada. Listen, when you come to town, when you come to the city of Las Vegas, you got to take an Uber straight to TC's Barbecue Crib to check out the barbecue. And when you get there, mention the film review, any of the film reviews. You just mention it, and you will get a discount on one full meal at TC's Barbecue Crib. Right, and if you're interested in advertising, becoming an advertising partner with us, all you have to do is take this email down, Lordland Enterprises, LordlandEnterprises@hotmail.com. That's LordlandEnterprises@hotmail.com, right? And then say who you are, say what your business is, and give your contact information, telephone number, cell phone number, all that, and I will get back to you ASAP with the rates. We can knock this out, get it out there, cut you a commercial, put you on, and many different shows. You can pick the shows we do. We're constantly coming up with different shows, right? We have the new the film review live talk show that's coming up shortly, so you'll want to be a part of that, where we go over interesting topics, such as this one we're getting ready to start with now. The funniest things that you will see while traveling. And we want you to call in and tell us, 213-943-3358. What is, again, 213-943-3358. What is some of the funniest things that you have seen while traveling, right? So our situation, we travel by Southwest, right? And Southwest has this situation where, you know, you can upgrade your ticket and basically sit in the front, right? So we have been doing this, and what we have been noticing was a few things, right? And the one thing we really noticed it because we had a layover. We were in Denver, Colorado, right? And
the first layover was in St. Louis.
Okay, that was St. Louis.
We wasn't there too long.
Okay, that was going.
That was going, right.
That was going. What we noticed about St. Louis, looking down, St. Louis was underwater. It had been raining,
flooded,
and it was flooded. It was like there was no greenery. It was a lot of mud, and I was like, "This is St. Louis." But when you flew into Cleveland, and even one of our people who sat in the third seat, even he mentioned and talked about how when you fly into Cleveland, you see nothing but trees and greenery. Yeah, that's what you see.
Because ironically, he was back for a funeral also, and he was coming from, what did he say, Irvine, California. And so we were just talking about how beautiful, you know, when the plane came in and you see all this lush greenery, you know. So we were all like talking about that. We're like, okay, we're in Ohio, you know, and it's just beautiful, like vivid green, you know. And but yeah, so but the layover for there wasn't too long, but Colorado layover was a little longer, but which was cool. A little longer, gave us time to get something to eat.
What happened in St. Louis though was it was so underwater, and we were looking at it like, what is this? Like, yo, we want to say what's going on to Jeffrey Jones, who chimed in, Dame Diz that chimed in, Artisha that chimed in, Davon Rainey that chimed in.
Hey, Dave.
You know what I mean? So we want to say what's going on to
we have to send day hearts. We love you too.
Yeah. So so we're sitting there and we're looking at it, right? And I'm like, what is going on here? Because, you know, like I said, when you fly into Cleveland, see, flying in and having these layovers, you get to appreciate where you are and where you're from. Right? Even the guy who was sitting, who had the third seat, he called, I wouldn't have went this far, But you know, the funniest things that you may see or hear while flying, he called St. Louis a hole. It was just a hole.
That's what the guy.
It was a muddy hole. I mean, that's what I wouldn't have went that far.
Because I'm like, well, it was raining and flooded, so what else do you expect? So, but this guy, you know, wasn't too nice about the city.
He wasn't too nice about the city. It's a hole. It's a hole. That's what he called it. Okay, so luckily we didn't go outside because it was raining. I'm telling you, stuff was underwater. It's like when people are talking about the American government and needing for infrastructure and needing the dollars to go to infrastructure.
Right.
Out here in Las Vegas, they have these big drainage situations because when it's a flash flood in Las Vegas, it floods the streets, and they love their people. They say, "Turn around, don't drown." You will watch TV and you'll hear ding, ding, and they'll break in and say, "Flash flooding around this area, this area, this area."
Right.
If you see water, you don't know how deep it is. Turn around, don't drown. That's the slogan out here, right?
Right.
So when you go to places where the infrastructure is not being rebuilt, because like I said, they're putting in these large drainage dishes to be able to take the water, right?
Right.
And so they care about the people, you know what I'm saying, because they don't want it to be a death trap, and it's a tourist attraction, right?
Right.
So when you think about how the government is in a standstill mode and the Republicans are in power right now, and they're not doing anything for infrastructure because they're saying until they stop talking about 45, they won't do anything that has to do with infrastructure.
Okay, can we say that I'm tired of
45.
Lazy news on MSNBC?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We need to give us more than what you just given us. It's just like the same story after story after story. I mean, at least I see CNN is trying to mix it up, right? Like the whole 24 hours is not about Trump. And I'm just like, come on, there is so much more going on in this country, right? So I'm just like, it's just easy to take that same story and to just roll with it, show after show after show. And like, I started off like watching MSNBC when Melissa Harris Perry was on the show, right? And Rachel Maddow and who was that was on the show? It was really good. Can't think of his name now. He does sports also. But and Ed was on the show, and like these guys were like really, really great at like reporting, and you know, and this is, you know, when Trump was running, and they just laid everything out, facts, you know, throughout the facts. This is why no one should be voting for this guy. But then they moved on, and then you had other stories.
Yeah, they kicked Ed off, and now Ed is dead. I mean, we don't know what... Ed was a stumped-down Republican before he became a Democrat. I don't know what that
and then he rode for, you know, he was like anti, like Trump, and then they got rid of him, and then they got rid of Melissa Harris Perry, who had great shows, and she covered politics, she covered the black community, she covered like all issues, everything, and then they got rid of her. And then Rachel Maddow went from great news intertwined with story research and storytelling to now her whole show is just like every damn night is Trump. So it's just like, it's just lazy reporting, and MSNBC need to step it up.
I have a belief that the media doesn't want Trump to get out because I think that whole thing that Trump is selling ad dollar for them.
It is, and then they like to go, oh, this is what Trump tweeted today. I'm like, okay, so you guys are really cheerleaders for him because y'all pushing him in a major way, and then you don't find out what's really going on until you switch over to like another channel or like you see it on social media. You learn something. You have to watch social media. Yeah, you have to watch social media to actually find out what's going on. And they're purposely ignoring certain stories, like the whole reparations. We saw that on C-SPAN. Right. C-SPAN did a great job covering that. And then so Yvette Cornell does a great job covering it. Mm-hmm. Tariq Nasheed does a great job covering it. Tone Talks does a great job covering it. It's all social media. And the news is just, like, I really need MSNBC to, like, step it up. Because we all know, okay, so Trump is Trump. And it's just the same damn story over and over and over. So, like, what's going on, right? So what's going on with the fracking, right? What's going on with the environment? And then you turn on social media and you learn that someone else has been, like, killed or, you know, it's crazy.
You know, what's funny about the media is when the Democrats are in, well, we'll take Obama, for instance. When he was in, every day there was another. They were just piling up. It was like race soldiers kill another black person. Porn. That's what it was.
Right.
Every day, they cover nothing about that in the media whatsoever.
Right.
And you have to watch social media to get it. Right. So that's one thing. Other things like the media is really, in my opinion, they're not so-called liberal media. I think they're conservative media because,
I think so too.
And I'll say this why. They hold the Democratic candidates up to a higher standard than they hold the president.
Right.
The president, they'll say things like they want to ridicule him, but they won't sticking to policy. They're not doing that. They're trying to do ridicule.
Yeah.
And check this out. In the beginning, in 2016, when they were talking about, they went to the polls. The polls were saying that Trump was going to lose. It was only one silver.
They kept saying.
They said that he was going to win, and then they kicked him off of TV, right?
Right. They kept saying Hillary was going to
So
win.
they're playing the same playbook. So my head doesn't screw on and off. So that lets me know that they're complicit and they're in on it and they want him to win because they're going back to the same thing. The polls say the people who like Trump, they're going to lie on the polls and they're going to go out there and pull the lever or punch the hole or push the button, the touch button, the touch screen for Trump.
Yeah.
But they constantly talk about Trump. Rachel Maddow, horrible in my opinion now. Horrible. She used to be able to give you something, some kind of knowledge, something that you didn't know about. You know, you have a long day, you didn't have time to know about it, but now everything is about Trump.
Same story.
Trump.
His tweet, what he tweeted, what he said to this dictator. They laughed. They, you know, so I mean, it's just like bit by bit. It's like a damn Trump diary every day. You know, this is what he ate. This is what he, you know, just give us some news. So I have to, you know, we have to switch to other channels to find out what's going on.
Like
local news.
Like we turn off from the TV because it's a steady diet of Trump.
You have to
go right to the social media. You have to go right to the tube to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's strange, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things. So the funniest thing, so he called that a hole. And, you know, we got off on talking about infrastructure.
Right.
Why don't you talk about pushing infrastructure?
Right.
Let's quit talking about ridiculing this dude.
Right.
And let's stop talking about impeachment.
Right.
Right. And let's start dealing with what's going to help America become a 22nd century a land body country.
Look at what Kim Kardashian did. Right. So she knows what she's dealing with President Trump, but she pushed her agenda and it made a difference. So it's like, if you people like really care, right, the media, whoever, you go to this man with your agenda and help get these agendas pushed.
What's going on to Marianne Trussell Gaithright? She
hey, Marianne. I mean, because with the prison reform and the situation where Kim and the two other black attorneys, you know, Kim, she loaned them her celebrity, which helped push what they had been working on for years, you know, and helping release innocent men and women, you know. And so Kim took it to the president. He listened and he helped, you know. So it's just like, okay, so you know what you're dealing with him. Like, so with this, like we were just talking about the environment and what's going on with the environment and the structure. Like the flooding, the horrible flooding we saw, in St. Louis. Like, let's take these issues to this man and get this stuff done.
And they're not covering that. Now, St. Louis has been flooding forever, and I have a suspicion that either the black folks live in areas that white folks pushed out and caused urban sprawl, and that area out there is more rural. Thus, that's more flooding out there because the infrastructure isn't as great. Cheap houses being built, and the black folks are living in the other areas, so they're trying to either kill them out or regentrify them out, right? So this is what's going on, right? So I could see that right there now. But in the media, all they talked about was the sundown town. That's all. When you really need to talk about building and keeping the infrastructure so they can stay out there in the wilderness, and they can leave the good, God-fearing black folks alone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like when I was sitting in the airport the other day, and I saw on Instagram, it was Tamir Rice's birthday. He would have been 17.
17 years old.
So I would have rather seen like that, and honoring him on the news instead of this whole Trump crap. So it's just like they just need to incorporate, give us news. Like news. I would have missed that whole C-SPAN coverage on reparations
if we hadn't said.
If we had never
C-SPAN
seen,
usually covers it.
Yeah. So, but if it had not been Yvette Cornell talking about it on her show and Tyreek Nash, we wouldn't have known because the media. Okay, so later that night they gave you a little bit of
excerpts.
A little, just a little bit of it you saw on the news, on MSNBC, but just a little bit of it. Then they went right back to Trump again. So to really find out what's going on, you have to go to social media because the news coverage sucks. It's just like
so we didn't mean to get off on that tangent.
No, it's just we have been talking about it. We're
talking about infrastructure and what the media should be used for to drive what will make America a better place. Because I don't know about you, as a ADOS person, but me as an ADOS person, this is the only place I know. I'm not going any place else because every place else they seem to be running here.
ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves,
right? They seem to be running here, so I don't want to run there because obviously they have flooding.
Right.
They must be as he said. So eloquently in his words, as he said about holes, like the dude said that St. Louis was a hole because it's flooded. This is what we're talking about here. Okay, so look. So the funniest things that you're flying. So that was one thing, right? To see that the media doesn't cover what could help, which means that FEMA obviously isn't working. But anyway, so that's just a little thing to look at there. Okay, so on the way back, we had another layover, Southwest, boy, I tell you. So, you're upgrading, right? So, we upgrade. So, we're in Denver, Colorado now. So, we come from Cleveland, Ohio, and we land in Denver, Colorado.
Right.
And when we got off the plane, Denver, Colorado felt strange to me. It really felt strange. I mean, we saw it was a multicultural, it wasn't diverse, it was a multicultural situation going on.
Right.
Saw a lot of people, but I saw certain things happening in the airport that let me know that this is some good old boy stuff going on in Denver, Colorado. Just my opinion, just looking at it.
What did the young kid tell us? Okay, so on the way back, it was the kid that was sitting next to us, and he looked over and he said to us, "It's a lot of cowboys on this."
Not cowboys.
Airplane.
Now, for everybody who doesn't know, the original cowboys were black. Thus, the boy in the name, cowboys. They're going out there and settle the West, cowboy.
Right.
And then went out there and settled the West. So when I see little Nas X, and he's dressed in the cowboy outfit, I say, oh, he's just coming back to his roots because that song is jamming. But anyway, so we're in Denver, Colorado, right?
And country music is our roots. So.
Yeah, we created. But anyway, that's another story for another time. Let's stay on topic.
But coming back, it was a young, black teenager.
Right. So this is before we got on the plane. Okay, so we're there, right? And I'm noticing now, we've been noticing this all throughout the trip at the airport, is these white folks are coming up and they're in. Now, before you say, why are you calling them white? First of all, we did not create the term black, brown, red, yellow, and white. We didn't create the fictitious color system to discuss humans, right? Human beings and mankind, right? We didn't create this system, so but being that they created it so they would make it seem like they were dominant, we're gonna say white. You know what I'm saying? So that we say black and anything else in between. You know, just don't say Negro, because they made Anthony Johnson a Negro and took his land in Virginia and went to court to create a term called Negro, and that's how they've been stealing land from us ever since. Long story there. We'll get to that on another day. If you don't know about Anthony Johnson, you need to research that. But anyway, so listen. We were sitting there at the airport, right? And we're getting in line, right? And like I said, the people are using the wheelchairs to try to sit up front. There's something about sitting up front and wanting black people to be in the back. Do not be fooled that this is not still the case, because it is. So we're standing in line, we're minding our own business, right? So I see this man walk up. He's in a business suit, and then he's walking with he's talking to some woman. She's dressed kind of shabbily, you know, and they're switching tickets. She had a ticket, you know, I can see real well, you know, with my spectacles, and the ticket said A1, right? And the ticket he handed her said something about general. General, I think, is for family to sit in the back. So they were flipping tickets back and forth, right? So he somehow has her stand up front like she's got the front ticket, right? And I'm going to go a little bit ahead to come back. So when they scanned, the dude said, well, you supposed to be back there, but you already scanned, so go ahead. So she got away with it. The dude is behind us, okay? All right, so now look. He walks up to me. My wife and I, we're arguably minding our own business. I'm watching the two basically women that look like twins. They're not twins. We find out later on the plane. But they look like twins. They're 10 years apart, though, but they look like twins.
Older women. They look like they're like in their 80s.
60s. They looked at it was 60s and 70s it was, but 10 years apart. Okay, so look. We're sitting there, right? And so I'm looking at the women, each one of them at separate times. When we were sitting down before we got in line, one of them was mean mugging me. I'm like, why are you mean mugging me? And then when we stood up in position 1A, I mean, we were 3 and 4A. The other one is mean mugging me, right? So I'm like, okay, I understand that they are about sitting up front, right? That's why they're sitting here in these wheelchairs. What's going on to Pamela Johnson? She just chimed in. And Mimi Smith, she just chimed in. What's going on with y'all? So, you know, I know what this game is. You know, they want to sit up front. You know, it's fine. But it's not fine. So I'm sitting there and they mean mugging, right? So if you don't believe, I'm going to say this one time, if you don't believe that it's about being up front and having people subjugated to the back, here's the proof. So like I said, we're sitting there minding our own business. So this guy comes up behind me and say, hey, you're pretty tall. Do you play basketball? And as the first thing, basketball. No, I say, I just went, no. I just say no. You know, no explanation. No explanation there. You know, that's the oldest racist.
Right.
Racist. That's when they're trying to open up a conversation with you. Basketball is racist. Okay. So he say, so you tall. You know, there's seats on the plane that we call the VIP section because it gives you extra leg room. And so I'm sitting there, so I say, okay, let me entertain this guy. You know, let me entertain what he's doing, meaning let me be entertained by him to see where he's going with it. So let me entertain this to be entertained. Okay. So I'm sitting there, and so I'm standing there, so I say, oh yeah, you know who gonna get it? It's these people that's in the wheelchairs that's doing this fake shit. Because listen, we flying around, these people, they in the wheelchairs, next thing you know, they get up and they walk down
Walking
the runway.
around the airport, going to get their food, come back.
They walk down the ramp. They walk down the ramp to get on the plane, and you like, okay, they really want
Now
to set
some
up.
were legitimate because they had their oxygen machine, but this is one woman in particular. She was kicking it throughout the whole airport. The layover was in Colorado. We were there for a while, right?
Mimi says, "Hey cousins."
Hey cousins.
So anyway,
Heart me, love you.
So listen.
And so we had seen this one particular woman walking around the air. Now you know the airport is huge, right? So she's walking around and going to get her food and laughing and chilling.
But then she's in the
All of a
wheelchair
sudden.
because Southwest has this thing where they have people who are pre-seats, meaning they're supposed to be the affirmed, meaning they're injured somehow or
Well, this woman flopped in the wheelchair real fast so she
Yeah.
can be placed up front.
Okay.
But it's just entertaining. You just sit back and look at something.
So we're sitting in Denver now. Before I finish telling the story, I have to put this preface in.
Yeah.
We were coming from Las Vegas, and the man, it was a black man, and he had his wife in the chair.
Yeah.
And
They were the first ones there, actually.
they were the first ones there.
Yeah.
Somehow he got to jibber jabbing and laughing and hawking and chucking it up.
They pushed it in front
and
of
next
him.
thing you know, the woman's sitting in the fourth row on the
And she
plane.
should have been the first person in the wheelchair. The first
'Cause she was the
wheelchair.
first
And
one.
this woman was legitimately. You can physically tell she was ill.
But her husband was not looking out for her. If it was me and it was my wife or vice versa, we would be like, we were first.
Yeah.
Boom, we're going on the plane first. He was shipping and shopping and chipping and chapping
And all
and
of a
jabbing.
sudden
And she's in the fourth row.
Instead of
and
being-
the seats are like really something, right?
So she should have actually been up front so she can have leg room.
And meanwhile, there was a dude that was sitting in the chair. He gets up and starts talking to the dude that taking the tickets, the ticket dude. He's just standing there, and then he gets on the plane. But I'm like, I thought these was for people who were in wheelchairs. These people are faking, right? So just to sit up front, okay, all right. So that's just to be said first, okay. So we're in there, like I said, with me and my now. There's people that were sitting in wheelchairs when we're in Denver. Next thing you know, they're rolling, but when we get off the plane, they're standing up, walking regular. The wheelchair didn't have,
walking around.
They didn't have to go into the restaurant. But anyway, listen. So
getting food and snacks.
Well, the snacks come to you, but they went to the restaurant.
I mean,
But anyway,
you mean on the plane?
On the plane.
I'm still thinking about the people who are in that huge airport or walking all around to the other end, laughing and talking.
all to sit in the front. Okay, now listen. So if you don't believe that this is what this is about, and if you're not willing as a person to stand up to it, right?
Just sit back and observe.
So just sit back and
Just
observe.
realize.
What's going on to the infamous DJ Remix? He just chimed in.
Hey,
Gary
Remix.
D. James. Okay, look. So we're standing there, and so the guy says, "You're tall." I went through that already. And so I say, "Yeah, you know who's gonna do it? These people with the fake wheelchairs." He says. And I said, but them seats up front are the ones. He said, no, there's some seats back in the middle half, a little bit further to the back, and they give real leg room. We call them the VIP seats. You should try to get on and get those.
Right.
So what's going through my mind at that time? The funniest things that you see while traveling. Yeah. The thing that was going through my mind was. No. And that's what I said. I said no. And that was pretty much in the conversation. He kind of slithered. He took his snaky ass and slithered
because he
back.
could tell we didn't want to be bothered. I mean, we had just came back from our grandmother's homecoming.
Okay.
And that's the last thing you want to deal with is stupidity.
It's some country. But anyway, listen. It's some country. But anyway.
Right.
Something that crumbles in soup. Okay, that's the last you want to deal with. Okay, so they let in all the people who are pre-booked. They call them pre-books because they're in the wheelchair, right? So my wife went before. So like I said, the woman, she had a ticket that was general admission. They were flipping back and forth tickets, and he looked at it and said, "You supposed to be general admission, but go ahead now, right?" So she gets on the plane, and then so my wife goes next, and then I go, and then so when we get on the plane, we see the two women that have been mean mugging the whole time, right? And then when we get on the plane, you hit to the right of the plane, and the two front seats on the left side, but our right side getting on was open of the 3 seats. And my wife went there instantly, right? And so then I went there, you know what I'm saying, good, plenty of leg room, everything, right? We're not going to do the Jedi mind trick. Meanwhile, the guy that was trying to do the Jedi mind trick was right behind me, and I could see through my peripheral that he didn't have the pleasantest look on his face, right? As I casually took my time to place the luggage in the overhead and then take my place, you know, in the front seats of the plane. Now, all right, so we're in the front, right? So I'm like, I've already seen this, right? And I said, okay, they're worried about the front seat. So everybody was getting on. I was like, come on, racism. Because it was 3 seats, and they said that there were 10 open seats on this.
All of a sudden, the whole
listen. So it was 10 open seats on this. The other planes, they were fully booked up. So we got on a plane finally that was 10 extra seats. So I said, come on, racism, because we had coming from Missouri,
right?
Going into Missouri,
right?
We coming into Colorado.
Colorado's coming back.
No, coming back.
Right. Okay.
Coming into Colorado.
Okay.
Right, because we're leaving Colorado now to go back to here, Las Vegas, right? But coming into Colorado,
right.
When we got on the plane, you know, the people with the sitting in the wheelchairs and stuff, they had took up those seats, so we come down to about B level,
right?
And there's a Irish speaking or Australian speaking. I couldn't really catch the accent, but how I know he was Irish or whatever speaking is. When we got on, I wanted the end seat, right? Because I was having some incontinence, you know, because you know the plane ride coming had threw off the track, right? So I was having some incontinence, right? And so I needed to be ready to go to the restroom, right? But anyway, so I wanted the end seat instead of using the window seat. So he was sitting on the end seat. So when we went in, I sat on the at the window seat, and he got up. When I turned and looked, he had got up and went to the seat behind. I said, "Great, thank you, racism." And so then I sat on the end seat, and then that's when we met up with the dude from California, because I was
originally from Ohio, but he
but he's in California, and I was watching the people go back, and I said, "When we'll let this be the natural draw to see who gets this third seat." But there was a fat guy that walked past. I said, "Nah, we don't want that." And so, because you know the seats are so crunched in now, so there was a guy that had some beady eyes. That was the last guy walking, and the plane was packed. And it was this young-looking Caucasian kid. Right. And I went, "Hey, want to see?" He said, "Hey, oh yeah." And he sat there, and you know,
turned out he was from Ohio,
and he was a pleasant, right? So you have to, you know, choose this out, right?
Right.
So, he's there, and so the dude went back, and how I know he was Australian speaking because he sat in a row in the 3 with the 2 other white folks, and he was talking, right? Okay. So fast forward, now we're on the plane coming back to Las Vegas, coming from Denver, and I'm like, "Come on, racism. Come on, racism. I can count on you that we're going to have this third seat.
Like, finally,
we're going to have this third seat. We're going to be able to stretch out and do what we want." You know what I mean? And so I said, "Come on, racism." So everybody got on. This one dude got on. He was a cowboy, and he had a hat box that was shaped to have a cowboy hat in it, right? He had on ostrich skin boots and an ostrich skin belt that had been worn out but he obviously hardly wore the ostrich skin boots, but they matched.
Right.
But that one was like worn out, the ostrich skin belt. He wore that every day. Right. So he got on the plane and he looked at the seat. He looked at us, kept walking back because he knew he wanted that front seat by the window. Okay, so I said, "Oh, it's almost over." Right? Because it was getting thin and, you know, it was 10 open seats. I said, "Come on, racism, we're going to have this." Here comes this mixed kid. It looked like a more heavy set Bruno Mars with glasses. He says, "Is that window seat open? I want the window seat." He said, "Bye, suckers." He said bye to his family who had to push back to the back. He sat there because all I wanted was a window seat when I got on. That's what he said. I said, "Dog," we were about to stretch out, but he was pleasant, right? So, the funniest things that you see while you're flying, traveling, this is what you see that, you know, is racist, right? And so, other than that, the flights were pleasant, you know, going and coming and all that. So, you know, that's what we can say about that. So, that was good. So,
Euphoria on HBO, starring Zendaya.
Oh, let me say this about Denver too.
Oh.
This is another. This before we leave. I noticed they have a lot of Somalis working, right? So the Somalis are in there working. So now, if you know about Somalia and you know that they're impoverished because they're artificially impoverished, but they're impoverished still the same because the people. Now the Chinese are in there, right? But so they had them working. So if you have Somalis working, they'll come here and they'll look at the projects and say, "What are you black people complaining about? This is great. We live in shanty shacks. Like, this is great. What do you have to complain about? There is no racism here. These are nice brick built things. We live in places that flood and the shanty shacks and dirt floors and what's wrong?" So of course they wouldn't, but then we had to say, what about the second and third generations, right? That's one thing. Then we were sitting down before we got in line, and the two twin women, like I said, the black dude had rolled. One was a Somali, the other one was straight black. ADOS had rolled her up. So she goes in her purse a little bit later and calls him back and hands him a tip.
Oh, did she?
Yes. She hands him a tip. So I'm looking at it and he's like, well. And he was about to like really ham it up. Right? Then he caught eye contact with me. And you know, it doesn't, like with me, my facial expressions, I'm just looking at you, right? But you can tell through my eyes that, and he knew that he was hamming it up. I'm trying not to say the other word because we should let that slip out the lexicon, but he was hamming it up, and when he did, he kind of less hammed it up, but he knew he was hamming it up, right? So, you know, but you know, right? So those are the funny things that you see while traveling. So now, Euphoria on HBO, starring Zendaya.
Yeah.
If you want to see something disturbing, people,
oh gosh,
you have to watch this show
because you know it opens up the door to. First of all, when I saw that HBO had a show, because you know I was excited when what's her show on HBO that I watch? I'm still like suffering from jet lag, so the one it's the only black woman with a show on HBO.
Oh, you talking about Issa Rae?
Issa Rae show, right? So now another show starring a black woman. So Euphoria starring Zendaya, executive producer Drake. So let me check it out. So I mean, it's well done. The cinematography is beautiful. Zendaya really pushes boundaries on this one because I'm used to seeing her play clean cut, wholesome roles, but in this role she's battling an addiction, right? So her acting is superb. Because I mean, it's just like the highs and lows, and like her story is so sad, You know, so, but this show gives you the behind the scenes of the life of a teenager, and some teenagers, you know. So, not all, but some.
That have an addiction.
Yeah, and some have an addiction, some don't. And it's just the interaction with them and their friends. And so, great acting. And, you know, so now I was just like thinking about all the teenagers in my family and stuff. I'm like, okay, so I need to watch this show so I can find out what's going on, what's going on with the teens. So it's really good in that aspect.
It's actually written by a guy who had addiction. It seems like he would be in his 20s or 30s now, right?
Right.
But he's writing for this generation now. Which, you know, most of the time it's usually 30-year-olds, like people who produce music. It's usually 30-year-olds that's producing for that generation, so I can see that. So they have a way of connecting to the generation that's right behind them, right?
Yeah.
So he's writing for that, and he was an addict, like when the methamphetamines and all that came in, the crank and all that. He seems like he was an addict during that period, right? And so it is disturbing, but it is the way that I see the cinema should be shot. It is real. The depictions of what's happening are real. The connection between the teenagers, everything is in it. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Well, not rock and roll. Now they're playing hip hop, but you know. All of that.
And they play old school.
Yeah, they play old school.
They had a great Bobby Womack song.
A great Bobby Womack song.
It was a great scene with Zendaya and her mom and her sister. So the family dynamic is, you know, strong. The relationship between her mom and her sister, her dad. Well, I don't want to give away. You have to watch the show, but it's just it's a well written show. It's like, you know, it's sad. It's heartbreaking. But it's different storylines because the different teenagers, they have different issues. You know, some of them, not everyone's on drugs, but it kind of gives you the behind the scenes look
of what's going on today.
Yeah, because with the kids, you see, you know, when it's like your kids or nieces, nephews, cousins, godchildren, you see one thing, right? But this show kind of opens the door and kind of gives you another look at what teens are going through, and then it makes you say, you know what? You know, you like to think of it as, oh, those kids, they're not dealing with real issues like us, adults. But then, you know, it's just, you know, they deal with issues.
I think they forget.
The bullying.
I think that adults forget over time
Yeah.
what they were really going through at one time.
So it's good. Yeah, you do, you know, because you're being an adult and in your world and taking care of the children and you think everything's gravy for them. And in reality, it's not, because they're dealing with real life issues too in school. And not necessarily, it doesn't have to be drugs or with sex, or it could be bullying. You know, their pressure, depression, like she was dealing with anxiety issues, right? So, Zendaya. So it's just, it gives you a little look, and it makes you a little bit more compassion, and it makes you want to say, hey, you know, what's going on? And to give your child or niece and nephew or cousin a little bit more time and attention, and just say, hey, you know, their issues are just as important as mine, and hey, I need to talk to, you know, my kid or the teenager in my family, just to reach out, let them know I'm here, see what they're doing, hang out with them more, spend time. Let's go to the movies, let's go to the museum, let's, you know, go to the show, let's go to the concert, let's go to the park and just walk and talk.
You know what though? You know what though? Other than that, taking away, moving into another realm of that, it's just plain old pure entertaining. Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing the people just strung out, I mean, it just makes me laugh.
They're not all strung out.
It just makes me laugh. I mean, I'm just laughing. I'm like, ha ha! I can't believe this. You
but
know
the
what I mean?
thing about it is, you have to see. I mean, at least, you know, just the first episode. This is not something that I'm saying.
Yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, we saw the first 2 episodes, and it's kind of like it's sad because this child, she was a little girl, and the schools they couldn't figure out why she was. Some kids are not bouncing around and jumping up and down. Some kids are kind of laid back, right?
Right.
And then but the first thing they want to do is put her on some type of drug, or Ritalin or something. So that just kicked it off, And so, her mom and dad looking for answers. Why is she so to herself, and why is she like counting, can see numbers and stuff, and then people don't know as much as we do now about autism and different forms of autism, and we know more about depression now. We know more now about different chemical imbalances now, right? That we didn't know about years ago, right? So the first thing that they wanted to do is give this baby a drug, right? But then not knowing that it stays in the system, and then it could lead to other drugs.
You know what?
So,
her problem in this story. Listen.
Well written.
Listen. The way that they open it up, the way that they tell what the parents were doing at the time, how that could have affected
heartbreaking
who she was just by what the people were watching on television, on television. That it was a constant doses of something tragic that had happened the day that she was born. I mean, it's well put together that this would be, and it's showing you that television and whatever you're listening to can affect your child. You know what I mean? But besides that, it's just pure entertainment. It is a romp. You're seeing things in it that. Let's go here.
Who did you compare it to this show, a previous movie years ago? Fast Times.
Oh yeah, it's like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, except for there's drugs involved.
And it's multicultural.
Yeah. It's multicultural. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, except for you add the drugs in, and it's telling a more complete story.
More complex.
More complex story than Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
So if you understand what I'm saying about Fast Times at Ridgemont High, there's a lot of nudity in this picture. This is supposed to be about teenagers, and I have to applaud the people the actors who are doing this, because it takes a lot.
Right.
You got a whole group of people in there, lighting and everything, and the camera people, the director and everything, and you have to execute these scenes, right?
And then plus, they're adults playing younger people.
But
the storyline is so great, like it's fitting, like the scenes, and there's violence in it as well, and it's just like these kids are violent. Or this one particular kid.
But you got
has issues.
But you got the crummy grown people.
Yeah, and his dad is crummy.
Yeah, we don't want to go into
okay,
the story.
So you have to watch it, and you see
it.
how it affects the children, and it's just So Euphoria on HBO.
Euphoria on HBO. So for the first 2 episodes, we have to give it a 10. I mean, I give it a 10.
Yeah,
what do you give it?
I give it a 10 because it's well written. Cinematography is beautiful.
What's going on? The Philly Mac just chimed in.
It's well written. Cinematography is beautiful because while watching it, we're like talking about the different angles. Zendaya, her acting is superb.
Now you can see Philly Mac on one of the episodes of Bars, right?
Yeah.
And we came back to the city.
Yeah.
There was a snafu on the technology because the Wi-Fi wasn't connecting somehow, and I pushed the button to send the directions and it didn't go through. So we got to do that for next time. But we got Suave Gotti, we got what is his name? Ill. No. We got Power. Yeah. Powers. That's it. Powers.
Yeah.
Alfred Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Suave Gotti. They're all doing the bars, and I mean they came with some heat. We did some interviewing, so that's coming up on the next On the Road, as well as bars. We have bars and we have the interviews on the road. You can watch us. We're simulcasting right now on Blog Talk Radio, on Vimeo, and also on Facebook. We've got our new backdrop. How you like it? You know what I mean? We're doing our thing. Philly Mac said, "Hello, family."
Hey, Philly.
So, you have to watch that Euphoria because there's no Euphoria about it. I give it a 10. What do you give?
Yeah, 10. Because, like I said, the acting was great. It's so heart wrenching. They did a great job setting up the story and introducing her character. And the music is great. Great job. It's worth watching.
Okay, so let's run down the list. The film review, music review show is out, and we got Gold Rose, Uzi Susie, J Jig Cicero. Let me go past all the people. T Jones, Simi Duvall, IC Jones, Blockbuster. What else? I got advertisement here. Rhyme Schemes, Nashu. I done lost the list here. 9 Frequency, Peter Blanco, Chaz Witz, Mookie, Gene Buck, and more on this episode of the Film Review Music Review Show. Let me tell you something. This one is banging.
It is.
Hear
it's nice.
It.
Real nice.
You can hear it through Mixcloud or the SoundCloud or SoundCloud.com/ the film review. Go there. It's the first thing up. You can hook it into your car system through your Bluetooth connected to your phone, or through your iPhone or Android, or you can stick the auxiliary wire into the headphone jack into your car console and bang it out. You can watch all of the episodes, everything up there, hip hop.
Or listen, or like what I do, like I listen to it while I'm working.
Right.
So in the end, the music is just so nice, and it's different types of music, and it just flows smoothly. The mix just flows smoothly.
Flows smoothly.
Real
and
nice.
We're introducing new independent artists from around the world.
Yes.
We have an international feel this time of people who submitted in. And we have a nice segment of that going on. And you will be entertained. And you will be jamming to some banging, dope hip hop. You know what I mean? So we want to say that. So, like we said, this new episode, we worked out the kinks on everything, right? And so we would like to say, as we always say, you have been watching another great episode of the film review, episode 64 of the live stream, and this is the new look of what we're doing. You have been watching the film review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. And we will see you next time. Yeah.